How's it going, everyone? As always, God bless you and thank you for being here. I'm Gage and this is Candy Coral Aquatics. If you're new to this channel, please seriously think about subscribing and tapping that notification bell. This is where I talk about all things reefing, but more importantly, where I share the information I've gathered with you guys on my tank to help you become better hobbyists at the hobby we call reefing. Today's video, you guys, you know I like to bring you new information whenever possible, and I also like to share with you guys what I'm doing to my tank to kind of help you guys be more successful, or to maybe find a new way of doing things that could lead you to be more successful. So since success is the key here, I do want to share with you guys a couple of new products that I've incorporated into my tank. Both products I was able to get off of Bulk Reef Supply. So let's go ahead and talk about what those two products are. So the first product I'm going to kind of be showcasing, spotlighting for you, is the Tunze Care Magnet Long. This is a product by Tunze, and what it is it's an algae scraper. So it's a magnet scraper, but it's not like any other magnet scraper. So at some point in time, you're going to realize, pretty much everybody, no matter who you are, you're going to get this buildup of what we call film algae. It's perfectly normal. It's not anything to worry about. It's not necessarily a nuisance algae, but what it is that very thin layer of algae that kind of builds up on the surface of the glass that you guys have to wipe off on a daily or every other day basis. Now, a lot of us will go out and they'll buy any type of cheap magnet cleaner or cheap handheld scraper to kind of get in there and scrape the glass off and keep it clean. However, if you're anything like me, you'll find out as time progresses that some of these options aren't always the best, and even some of the more expensive ones tend still not to be the best for a lot of reasons. So some of the issues that I've come across with some of the magnet scrapers out there is you have to be very delicate with them, because they can scratch your glass, and also you have to be really careful when you're scraping the corners of your tank because of the silicone that's there. So a lot of the scrapers that are out there, especially the handheld versions where you're actually putting your hand in the tank and scraping yourself, that's bad for two reasons. Number one, your hand's in the tank, and then number two, because of the pressure that is exerted and to try to get the angle correct to scrape, if you hit that silicone, you're more than likely going to be stripping it off, which we know that's even worse than scratching the glass, because if that silicone seal fails, your whole tank's done for. It's going to leak. So the Tunze Care magnets, so they have these in Pico, they have them in Nano, they have them long, and then Strong, and I think Strong Plus. So it's all rated based on how thick the glass is. So this is a 60-gallon cube. It's a 1/2-inch thick glass, so I ended up going with the Tunze Care Magnet Long. So the Tunze Care Magnet Long is over on the right-hand side of the tank. And basically what it is, you guys, is it is a magnet scraper. However, some of the key features on this magnet, let me bring it over to the front here so we can see it. Some of the key features is, as you can see here on the scraper itself, it's rounded. Okay, let me zoom this in a little bit. So this section of it here is kind of curved, kind of rounded, and what this allows is for you to safely scrape your glass without worrying of scratching, and it also allows you to get close into the seals where the silicone is at without tearing off silicone. Now, the other nice thing, because of the way the blade is shaped, it's very good at scraping off calcaneous algae such as coralline algae and hard stuck on algae. You can actually see in the back of my tank, it's very, very hard for me to get in the back and actually scrape it. So that algae buildup that you're seeing there, it's not nuisance algae, it's just film algae that I've never been able to scrape off. So, but if you allow that film algae to build and build as time progresses, it'll actually form kind of a hard surface, and it's very hard to get off with just these kind of manual magnetic scrapers, these generic ones. This is a mag float, and this is what I've used for a long time on my tank, and it's been okay. However, if I was to go down to the bottom of the tank and try to scrape with this, as I'm pushing sand around, you can actually see here in the magnet where some sand and some other little crustaceans, I'm not exactly sure what these are, but sometimes you'll get like little tube worms and stuff that'll build a calcium shell. You'll get them on your rocks. They've actually kind of found a home in here, and with the sand that gets built up in there, you can see how that could potentially scratch surfaces. So with the Tunze, that's not going to happen, because if I go down to the bottom of the tank here and I hit this and I'm getting down in there, you can see I'm pushing sand around and I'm cleaning all the way down the bottom of the glass surface, but I'm not getting any sand whatsoever inside that Tunze, so there is zero chance that I'm going to be able to scratch that glass. The other nice thing is, if I want to clean the corners of the tank, Again, I'm not worried about hitting that silicone because it's not going to peel that silicone off, in the corners where it needs to be holding its seal. So that is the first thing that I went with, was the Tunze Care Magnet Long. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with it. It does an excellent job at removing any hard stuck on algae. It works a heck of a lot better than this guy. This guy, as you're going across, besides the fact that it could scratch things, when you brush with it, you can actually see little brush strokes in the algae. So then you got to go back over it. And this is very hard to get into the corners with. It's next to impossible. Number one, the strength of the magnet is not enough to really do anything. And because of the way that it's designed, it's very difficult to get in the corners to actually clean it. Whereas with the Tunze over here, you can actually just get right in there and scrape that right off and make it nice and clean. Now, the other nice thing I like about this is if you flip it over, you have a smaller blade. So we have a smaller surface area here with a nice strong magnet, which just magnifies the intensity of that scrape. So it actually creates kind of a stronger bond here. So I'm actually able to switch that over and use this for larger areas, and then use this for maybe really stuck on hard stuff that doesn't want to come off as easy because it's a smaller surface. Now, the other nice thing about the Tunze is it does come with 2 replacement blades, 2 plastic blades, and then it also does come with a metal blade in case you want to use metal as well. Metal and plastic is not something you typically have to worry about with the glass aquarium, but when you start going into acrylic, or if you have an acrylic tank, you have to be pretty careful. I'm not exactly sure which blade, plastic or metal, would be better with an acrylic, so I'm not going to make a comment on that because I own glass. I've never owned acrylic, but I do know you have to be a little bit more careful when it comes to acrylic. The next thing that I want to kind of show you guys is this frag rack over here. So this is a frag rack from, I believe it's Skims. It's the, what is it? The CR16, I believe is what it's called, the CR16. You can pick it up at Bulk Reef Supply for, I think it's $24 right now. Let me zoom in here and you guys can take a look at it. It's a nice frag rack. It's actually got room for 20 different frags. And one of the cool features about this frag rack is, besides its cost, it's only $23, which is very cheap for a magnetic frag rack. It actually has enough spaces to hold, I believe it's 20, oh, you can't see it there, 20 different frags. So it's got spots for 20 different frag plugs. Now, it does use its own specific kind of frag plug, which at first I was like, okay, well, that might be kind of a downside that I have to use a specific frag plug with this. But let me actually show you guys what this frag plug looks like here. It does come with frag plugs. I believe it's 20 of them. So you've got a frag plug for each spot within the frag rack, which I think is very nice, because a lot of times you'll have to buy the frag rack and then you'll actually have to go out. Let me see if I can get this to zoom here and clarify. And then you'll actually have to go out and buy plugs. So a couple of things that I like about this. Number one, it's got some holes in it. Okay, and the holes I think are pretty neat because it's going to allow water flow through them. And I think it's also going to help keep the frag itself clean. Okay, I don't think we'll get a lot of buildup on there necessarily, but more importantly, I think it's going to help with the flow. The next thing is, this is what the bottom of the frag plug looks like. So if we were to look at the actual frag rack itself, it's kind of shaped like a cross where the plugs go. So you can put it in this way or you can put it in this way. Now this creates a nice tight seal. It kind of locks it into place. So if you have a lot of high flow, which this tank does, you don't have to worry about your frags blowing off, which I think is also really nice. The other thing that I like about this is when the frags are ready to come out and be placed somewhere in the aquarium, this thin design where the plug is at, you could shave that off a little bit. It's just plastic. You'll file it down if you wanted to, or just the way that it's shaped right now, I do believe it's going to be able to fit into crevices and cracks on your rocks a lot easier than those fat rounded frag plugs that you're typically seeing everywhere else and that are typically for sale online. So again, a great buy at $24 for the frag rack. It's a magnetic frag rack. It's very durable, it seems. It's very strong. The magnetic hold is good. And then you, of course, a bonus, you get these frag plugs included with it. So now you don't also have to go out and have the expense of buying frag plugs. So the Tunze Care magnet, I believe I paid it was either $29 or $39. I want to say it was $39. And then the frag rack was like $23.99. And like I said, I got the plugs with it. So I've had a pretty high demand lately for some of my zoanthids. So I'm actually going to start fragging some of these zoas and placing them on these plugs and letting them start to grow out. I'm gonna do the same thing with some of my acropora. I won't be able to do anything for probably another couple of weeks. I've still got some stuff on back order, my fragging kit, some coral glue, and some other things that I ordered for the tank itself. But as soon as all that stuff comes in the mail, I will be fragging, and then I'll go ahead and I'll update you guys on how the frags are doing, and I'll kind of show you what I've been doing with the frags and kind of my method to that. And then once stuff starts growing out, if any of you guys out there are interested in having a piece of anything out of my tank, just give me a shout and we can work something out. So yeah, guys, that's kind of my review on the Tunze Care Magnet Long, and then the frag rack there from Skims. I believe it's Skims. I'll have to double check. If it's not Skims, I'll put something in the comments down below to correct myself, but I'm pretty sure it's Skimz CR16 magnetic frag rack. You can pick it up at Bulk Reef Supply. So if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And until next time, guys, take care, God bless, and stay safe.